Okay, so good morning. Objectives of this video lecture are to define various formulae used in laminar and turbulent flow for forced convection and to explain significance of boundary conditions. So in forced convection, that is in unit 3, there are two types of flow we are supposed to talk about. One is external flow, another is internal flow. And each type of flow, we are supposed to talk about laminar flow in case of external flow, turbulent flow in case of turbulent flow. Similarly, for internal flow, laminar flow in case of internal flow, and turbulent flow for internal flow. Okay. So, as you know, the external flow means when a fluid is flowing over the surface, it is called as external flow. So first we will talk about the external flow. An example of external flow is taking place over a flat surface or a cylindrical surface. Outside the cylindrical surface, it is example of external flow. So first I will be talking about external flow. So case 1, let us discuss the formula involved for laminar flow over a flat plate or cylinder. So the very first formula is local shear stress tau 0 x is equal to Cfx into rho u infinity square by 2. And this formula has come from fluid mechanics. We won't go into the detail how this formula has arrived. Rather, we will be simply concentrating on formula. In this formula, Cfx is called as local coefficient of fraction. And how can I determine Cfx? From the heat transfer data book. So we can use the expression of Cfx from heat transfer data book. And there are some selection criteria to select the expression for Cfx. Similarly, average shear stress, it is represented by tau 0 average or tau 0 bar, and it is given as CFL into rho u infinity square over 2, where this CFL, C suffix Fl, sometimes it is also represented by C suffix F bar, and it is called as average coefficient of fraction. Its expression you can also get from heat transfer data book. I will be discussing. The drag force on the plate. See what is happening whenever a fluid is flowing over the plate. It causes a friction force, and because of that it tries to move the plate or surface in the direction of flow. That is called as drag force. And it is given as shear stress into area over which flow takes place. So drag force is nothing but shear stress into area, and mathematically drag force Fd is Cfl into rho u infinity square over 2 into area. Now here some clarity is required as far as the area is concerned. For example, if this is a flat plate and I want to calculate drag force. So if a fluid flow is taking place only on the upper surface, what will be area in this formula? Area will be A1 only. So drag force will be Cfl into rho u infinity square by 2 into A1. Whereas if the same flat plate is there, and fluid flow is taking place on both sides of this plate. Okay, let's say this is A1, this surface area is A2. Geometrically both will be same. So area in this expression will be A1 plus A2. So this way you have to take care whether the flow is taking place only on the upper side of the surface or on the both side of the surface. Likewise, mass flow rate through the boundary m dot 5 by 8 into rho infinity into delta 2 minus delta 1, where delta is called as boundary layer thickness, and expression for that delta at particular distance in the y direction can be get from heat transfer data book. Similarly, local mass flow rate can be given as, this is not there, rho into u into dy. This will give you local mass flow rate. At any position in the mass flow rate in the boundary layer, m dot can be given as 5 by 8 rho u infinity into delta x, where delta x is local boundary layer thickness or boundary layer thickness. So these are the simple formulae. You need not to bother how they have been derived. Rather, we must know what are the formulae and how to use them. Because these are the formulae. Whatever formulae I am discussing here, they are not given in the data book, heat transfer data book. Similarly, case 2, that is external flow, and for turbulent flow over a flat plate or cylinder. So in many cases, I can also calculate surface area as length into perimeter. Then Stanton number is equal to Cf by 2, where Cf is the coefficient of fraction. For fully turbulent flow, the value of coefficient of fraction can be given as 0.02 over REL power 1 by 5. So again, this expression is not given in data book. Then Colburn analogy, it is given as Stanton into Prandtl number 2 by 3. It is nothing but product of ratio of Nusselt number over product of Reynolds number into Prandtl number 1 by 3 is equal to Cf by 2 for external flow and F by 8 for internal flow. So this expression is rarely used, but we must have idea what do you mean by Colburn analogy. From where these actually expressions have come, all these expressions we have borrowed from fluid mechanics. Because we have seen, I have discussed in the earlier videos, convection is closely related with the fluid flow. So whatever the fluid flow properties and phenomena are there, they are very much applicable to the convective heat transfer analysis as well. Now, if the external flow is taking place over a cylinder of diameter d and length L, for example, let's say its length is L and diameter is d. So under such condition, heat transfer rate can be given by Newton's law of cooling, HA delta T, and surface area will be pi dl. And drag force on the cylinder can be calculated as shear stress into projected area over which flow takes place. If a fluid flow is taking place over this, I want to calculate the area. So the projected area for this cylinder will be this, d into L. And it can be given as drag force is equal to tau 0 shear stress into projected area. CFD into rho infinity square over 2. This is nothing but shear stress, and d by L is projected area. Okay. So these are some of the basic formulae involved, and you are supposed to remember them. Then boundary conditions. Basically, whenever a fluid is flowing over a flat plate or through pipe or over a cylinder, the boundary conditions mean how the surface or fluid is being heated, or how can we represent its heating or cooling conditions, cooling position situation, that is called as boundary condition. So in convection, basically there are two types of boundary condition. One is called as constant wall temperature, another is called as constant heat flux boundary condition. Now without understanding these two boundary conditions, it will be difficult for you to solve the problems. So let us discuss both these boundary conditions one by one. So let us first discuss constant wall temperature boundary condition. Constant wall temperature boundary conditions means, for example, here I am considering the surface is heated and fluid is cold. Okay, so in case of external flow, what do we mean by constant wall temperature boundary condition? If a fluid is flowing over a flat plate and it is saying the constant wall temperature boundary condition is applicable, that means its surface temperature will be given clearly. That is, surface temperature of the flat plate or its wall temperature is given clearly. Okay. Now what is the consequence of this? Let's say air is flowing at temperature 10 degrees Celsius, and for example temperature of this flat plate is 60 degrees Celsius. So when air is flowing over this flat plate with constant wall temperature boundary condition, for example 60 degrees Celsius, temperature of this air will be increasing while it is moving or flowing over the flat plate. So let's say at this point temperature is 20 degrees Celsius, at this point it is 30 degrees Celsius, and at this point it is 50 degrees Celsius. And when it will come out, T infinity of this air will be less than 60 degrees Celsius. Means outgoing temperature of air will always be less than the wall or surface temperature of the flat plate. This is the meaning of constant wall temperature in case of external flow. Similarly, internal flow, let's say there is a tube or pipe and it is having constant wall temperature of, let's say, 80 degrees Celsius. So when air at 20 degrees Celsius is flowing through this pipe, so it will be internal flow, its temperature will be increasing at various points along the length of this tube, and when it comes out of this tube, its temperature will be less than 80 degrees Celsius. So in a very simple sense, I want to say, when constant wall temperature boundary condition is applicable, the surface temperature is clearly mentioned, as in the case of flat plate 60 degrees Celsius, And as in the case of pipe flow, pipe surface temperature is 80 degrees Celsius. One aspect. Second aspect, temperature of the outgoing fluid will be lesser than the temperature of the surface. I can clearly say. Now what will be that value that I can calculate using the expressions. Okay. This is all about constant wall temperature boundary condition. Then comes constant heat flux boundary condition. Now we know heat flux is nothing but heat transfer rate per unit area. So what do you mean by constant heat flux? Let us discuss with reference to external flow. So let us take the same case. Air with initial temperature 10 degrees Celsius is flowing along the flat plate, and if this flat plate is maintained at constant heat flux boundary condition, means it will be given to you, it is subjected to this much heat flux. That means, let's say 1000 watt per meter square of heat flux is being supplied to this plate to heat it. Now what will be the consequence of this? Temperature of the air will be increasing along the length of the plate. Now in case of constant heat flux condition, I cannot predict what will be the outlet temperature, whether it will be less than or more than the temperature of this flat plate, because I don't know the temperature of the plate. So I cannot say whether T infinity O will be less than or more than the surface temperature. Ts is not known to me. Similarly, in case of internal flow, there is a tube surface. Once again, it is subjected to the heat flux of Q dot, for example, 500 watt per meter square. So whenever constant heat flux condition is given, surface temperature is not mentioned clearly. Now in that case also, when air, let's say 10 degrees Celsius is flowing through this pipe, subjected to constant heat flux of 500 watt per meter square, its temperature will be increasing along the length of the pipe. And once again at the outlet, I am not sure whether the outgoing temperature of this air will be more than or less than the surface temperature, because it is also unknown to me. So that is the basic difference between constant wall boundary condition and constant wall temperature boundary condition and constant heat flux boundary condition. So in former case, surface temperature is clearly mentioned, while in the later case, that is constant heat flux case, surface temperature is not given, rather heat flux is given. And using some expressions later on, I can calculate Ts and T infinity O or T infinity I. So these are some of the basic things you are supposed to keep in mind before solving the numerical. Now let us discuss the last topic of this video lecture, procedure to solve force convection problem. Basically, these are actually sequence of steps. When you refer any problem on force convection, whether on external flow or internal flow, the books are quite, they are not, those are solving the problems in very obscure manner. Even after solving 50 problems, you won't be able to get actually which step to be followed after what. So based upon my experience, I have tried to systematize the process of solving force convection problem. So let us discuss what are the different steps involved. Very first step will always be to draw the schematic. And in schematic, basically, you have to draw flow over a flat or flow through pipe. If it is external flow, you draw the schematic for flow over a flat plate. If it is internal flow, draw the schematic of flow through pipe, representing all the parameters involved like surface temperature Ts, fluid temperature T infinity, geometrical parameters like length, diameter. Okay. In case of pipe, fluid inlet and outlet temperature, whether it is a flux condition or constant wall temperature boundary condition. Second step is enlist all the given things. Whatever notations you have followed in the schematic diagram to represent various parameters involved in the convective heat transfer, and if their values are given in the problem statement, enlist all those values. Number 3, write down the assumptions involved. There are so many assumptions, like in unit 1 and 2 we have seen. Similarly, there are some assumptions, set of assumptions which will be applicable to in this case as well. Then identify identification of reference temperature. What do you mean by reference temperature? In one of the video I have discussed the reference temperature. There are two types of reference temperature. One is mean bulk temperature and mean film temperature. Okay. So how will you identify whether you have to select mean bulk temperature as a reference temperature or mean film temperature as reference temperature? That depends upon the type of flow. And thumb rule is, if external flow is there, mean film temperature is taken as reference temperature, and if internal flow is there, mean bulk temperature is taken as reference temperature. This is thumb rule, unless otherwise mentioned. Then, after identification of reference temperature, find out thermophysical properties of fluid at the reference temperature. Now from where you can find out these thermophysical properties? HT data book. We are going to extensively use heat transfer data book hereinafter. What are these thermophysical properties like rho, mu, Cp, K and Prandtl number? Okay. Then step number 6, identify what are the boundary conditions involved. So just now we have discussed there are two types of boundary condition, whether it is constant wall temperature boundary condition or constant heat flux boundary condition. Step number 6. So I will continue this. So the process will be continued. Step number 7 will be nature of flow. And how to decide the nature of flow, whether it is laminar or turbulent, by calculating Reynolds number applicable. Then step number 8, selection of appropriate correlation for Nusselt number, because Nusselt number for force convection is a function of Reynolds number and Prandtl number. And from where you can select this appropriate correlation? Once again from HT data book. Then step number 9, calculation of heat transfer rate and convective heat transfer coefficient H, and finally calculations of other parameters. Apart from Q and H, if other values are being asked, so you can calculate those values as well. So these are the general steps involved while solving the problems on force convection, whether it is external flow or internal flow. So once again I am repeating, first you draw the schematic, enlist all the given parameters, make out all the assumptions, identify the reference temperature, and that will be decided whether the flow is external flow or internal flow. The thumb rule is for external flow, mean film temperature is taken as reference temperature. For internal flow, mean bulk temperature is taken as reference temperature, unless otherwise mentioned. Step number 5, find out the thermophysical properties of the fluid at this reference temperature from heat transfer data book. Step number 6, identify the boundary conditions, whether it is constant wall temperature boundary condition or constant heat flux boundary condition. After that, step number 7 is identify the nature of flow, whether it is laminar flow or turbulent flow. Step number 8, selection of appropriate correlations. whatever you have done up to step number 7, based upon step number 7, you can select the appropriate correlation for Nusselt number in terms of Reynolds number and Prandtl number from heat transfer data book. Step number 9, once you are able to calculate Nusselt number, you can calculate convective heat transfer coefficient, because Nusselt number is nothing but HLC by K. And once the value of H is known to you, you can calculate heat transfer rate by convection. And that is from Newton's law of cooling. U is equal to HA delta T. And finally, calculations of other parameters. So this way you can solve different force convection problems. So learning outcome of this video: able to define various formulae. After watching this video, you will be able to define or describe different formulae related with the force convection. And second, you will be able to identify different boundary conditions like constant wall temperature boundary condition or constant heat flux boundary condition. These are the two learning outcomes of this video lecture. So with this, I come to an end of this video lecture. Thank you for your passionate listening and happy learning.